Hi Melanie, Ali here. Just wanted to talk you through the first concepts that I've come up with for you for your garden. And we'll start here with, this is I think one of the images that I showed you perhaps for kind of first inspiration. Sorry, the resolution is awful. But this is a garden that I absolutely love just because of its clean, classic kind of lines. It's classic but contemporary, lots of lush foliage, lots of use of structured evergreens, and that's something that I really want to focus on in your garden. I don't know if you've sort of heard of these or seen these before, but this idea here is of pleached hedging, and it's kind of a hedge on stilts, if you like. It just means that hedging plants and trees are sort of grown on frames, and you get this lovely clear stem with a kind of hedging on top, and that is great for privacy when you're sort of really keen to get some privacy like you are in your garden. And it's a great structural kind of element with a lot of height, so always works really well with beautifully clipped box hedging beneath. And in all the designs, I've come up with 3 options for you, and in all of the design options I've really kept coming back to this kind of idea. Now, a little word of warning before we get too carried away is that I do want to sort of let you know that, you know, established trees and that beautiful kind of, this kind of beautiful look with the pleached hedging doesn't come cheap. So we do need to allow room in your budget, I think, for planting. So whatever budget you have in mind, with your garden, I think there's going to be quite a sort of majority of that budget to go on trees, getting established trees in, hornbeams, fastigiate trees, pleached trees, get that structure in place, hedging plants. And then a smaller proportion of the budget, hopefully, is going to actually be on hard landscaping. You've already got your decking in place, you've already got your hot tub area and your pergola in place, you've already got lawns. So we do need to build a little bit into that with some additional paving that I'm going to show you. But I think we can be quite low key on that. So I think in terms of budget, we need to sort of be aware that pleached trees can be, you know, well, more like £300 each. So as soon as you've got a line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, you can see straight away where sort of money goes. Let me spin you through a few other images before I show you the design. So here's another very contemporary classic garden with the hedging, and this is another example close-up of pleached hedging. These are actually box cut. I mean, these are mature specimens, but we can create this kind of look, and they look incredible when they're uplit from beneath. Just simple sort of uplighters coming up, and you get this magical effect. So this is going to screen off garden areas. You can see how this isn't just around the boundaries, this isn't across the middle of the garden, but it's creating this lovely private seating area behind. One of the designs that I've come up with incorporates the idea of tabletop pleached hedging. So it's another dimension. This is another garden where you can see in this example the vegetation has been trained across the top, so it creates a kind of roof canopy and a flat topped tree. And again, this is great for creating privacy and shade in your garden. One final shot here of a lovely pleached hedging that's been used all around the boundary of a paving area. Usually when we do hedging, they go straight into a sort of gravel or something called hogging, which is a sort of compacted gravel, nice clean sort of lines. This has just got a tiny cutout area here where obviously the trees have been planted, and then this paving has gone on around with a sort of little area here, but you can see how beautifully these have knitted together and created that kind of privacy around this main patio area. So with all these things in mind, keep those images in your mind, and I'm going to show you the actual layout options that I've prepared for you. So this is option A, the first design. So you can see the rule of thirds I was talking about. We're sort of dividing your garden up roughly into kind of thirds, and it's just really pleasing. Now the way I've divided it is to cut into the garden with hedging. So these darken areas here are hedge areas here coming around the edge of the hot tub area, and a row of pleached hedging, the hedging on stilts, across here, so that when you're sitting in this little sofa barbecue area at the bottom of the garden, you don't have to worry about your neighbours here. We don't have to do a straight line of sort of boundary planting all the way down here. We can do something a lot more clever and interesting. So I know that this in itself won't be enough for you, just for the privacy. So here we've got a row of 3 of those beautiful trees that we talked about, the Fastigiate hornbeam, 1, 2, 3. And that's just in that area there that you were worried about, where I think there's a shed or something next door that, you know, isn't too great. And again, I'd like to keep that clean, contemporary classic lines with an area of box hedging around each tree in a square. So you've got like a formal clipped square and then the circular sort of fastigiate tree in the middle. Now we've got still a beautiful amount of grass, this sort of green. We've ended up with this kind of zigzag shaped lawn, which is great. I do want us to create some open space in your garden. So by the sort of open space, I mean that we don't have to fill everything up with planting or grass or trees or hedges. And going back to that original sort of clip that I showed you, that design, the trees there were planted within a sort of very light gravel, which is called hogging, and that creates this kind of openness. So I'd like to create this big openness here so that you've got a lovely view coming through your doors here, and you've got this open space of light material, which we can edge with a kind of grey slate to pick up the grey colours. I'd like to sort of do a theme of a little bit of touch of sort of grey slate colour throughout the garden. Just a little bit of edge in here, and then either side, I've called it a sculpture walk. It's a little bit of a grand name for basically this would be my area of those lovely big ball topiary plants, and I thought it would be fun as well to hide in there. We've got these great big sort of balls of foliage to hide in there the occasional stone sphere or stainless steel sphere or granite sphere. So you can sort of play with that and create almost this kind of sculptural element as you walk through. Now again, because of the privacy aspect, I've got some pleached trees here, and the pleached trees are great because they take up such a small amount of space at the base, literally just the size of a stem, and we can plant right up and underneath them with the balls. And also this would be a fabulous place to have lighting. So we have the ground lights here, just sort of lighting up our little sculpture walk. So as you come down here, there's space to come in to your hot tub with a step up. I'd really like to screen it a little bit from this view. So I know it's got a concrete kind of haunching sort of pad here. I think we could do well to just sit on there some very contemporary sort of troughs with hedging material in them, sort of planted up already, so that you've got an instant kind of screening to the side of the hot tub. So the access into the hot tub is here and to the side as it is currently, but it's cosy in here. It's screened off with this tall hedging. I've put your potted palms there on that concrete haunch, and then there'll be planting areas to this side, and it will just be surrounded and kind of cosy. You know, you might want to think about putting some lights. I don't know if there's lighting in here, but if we have some lighting on your existing pergola, that would be great. So the final thing is your little daybed area, and in this design I thought it'd be nice to keep it separate. On another option I've put them together, but to come through this lovely open space, and then hidden behind this hedging we've got this little secret chill out area. So here's your daybed, and the option here to build a L-shaped raised bed. We could have like rendered walls with planting little multi-stem silver birch trees in there for a little bit of screening, and that would just be a little pad of paving here, like a nice porcelain tile. Some trees down the side here again, mirroring this side, 2 hornbeams on this side, that lovely fastigiate shape, and then a few little stepping stones through the grass onto your chill out barbecue area. I think this existing bamboo can be tidied up and kept, and we'll just extend it around the corner here so that it's the kind of, you know, clean lines, same material going around to that corner around that edge. Nice little sofa chill out area down here. This would be quite contemporary. I know stepping stones doesn't sound contemporary, but what I mean is actually using one of the porcelain tiles, beautiful, smooth and sleek, and laying it flush into the lawn so that, you know, you don't have to worry about practical issues. When you come to mow the lawn, you just mow straight over these. And it's just a nice way to sort of change direction, left to right to left again down the garden. So we've created a journey around the garden, and you're not seeing everything all at once. You've got a little bit of mystery, bit of intrigue, hedging, broken up the space into divided areas and zones. So that's option number 1. I hope I'm not waffling on too much. Let's go to option 2 and 3. Okay, so this is option 2, or B, I think I've labelled it, yep. Variation on a theme, basically. I've just played with different shapes of how we can create a slightly different journey around the garden. I've kept with the troughs in front of the hot tub here on all 3 designs. This is a slightly reduced area of the open space here, and a journey up through to the end here. And in this design, I wanted to create a little nook for the daybed at the end of the garden rather than in this corner. So I've kind of swapped things around a little bit. My 3 trees with box planting are on this side now. So I've got my 3 fastigiata hornbeam with beautiful clipped box hedging squares around them on this side. And on this side down here, we've got our pleached trees. And like in that first photo, I want to create the hedge on stilts with a secondary hedging in front. So you've kind of got like a double layer. You've got like a small, low growing hedge, and then you've got these beautiful uprights, and then the hedge on stilts above. And again, this would all need to be uplit. And in the spheres in here, we'll have some lights going on in here. So this is a kind of simplified version of option 1. Now this option gave me the idea of using the tabletop trees. So the actual ground pattern is more simplified, but it gave me the opportunity. We've got this complete square here in the corner for the sort of barbecue chill out area with a couple of sofas and the daybed, but I've got a lovely space here to use 4 of those beautiful tabletop trees. So even though it might look like you haven't got much planting down the boundary, believe me, once you're sat in here, these are going to create so much privacy. It's like a little rooftop out of foliage, which is going to be amazing. So this could either be paved, or it could be in the sort of gravel flattened hog-in sort of material. If it's paved, we just cut out little squares like in the photograph I showed you. So this is our option B simplified, but with our tabletop trees. Let's go to the 3rd and final. Okay. So last but not least, we've got this 3rd option, and this I think is my favourite option if I was to sort of put forward a favourite, but I'm not sure in terms of practicality how you're going to feel about this. I was finding that the hot tub position was kind of dictating things too much in terms of access and where to put pathways. And so for this one, I tried to sort of turn things on its head a little bit. And I thought, well, what if this was all screened and the access was at the rear? Which I know from a practical point of view, maybe if you're running out in your cosy, it's not ideal, but I'm sort of thinking it's not a huge garden, it's not an awful long way to go. So bear with me on this one, because I think in terms of sort of design layout, it works really nicely. So we've got our hedging in troughs going across here, and then a little area of planted hedging going around. And what I'd like to do is take our hogging path around and to the back and create a secondary little platform of deck, just in the same material as this. So it's not really so much a step, but, well, it is a step, but it's a wide step made out of decking, and that sort of ties in the decking that you've already got. We've still got our beautiful Fastigiata hornbeams. I've got 2 here in a row, and then we go in contrast down this side, boom, 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 3 down that side with underplanting. But this gives us our nice little zigzag shape again. It kind of draws the eye down and around to something hidden. This is all much more private. And then we've got a few little stones through into another little private area here, which from the deck, I mean, you're going to have glimpses of this, but it's kind of feels really secluded and private down the bottom of the garden. So my row of pleached trees in this design are across here. So this is the hedge on stilts. We've got a beautiful box hedge in front of it at low level, and it gives you 2 distinct lawn areas. So we just cut this shape out, and we've got this interesting shaped lawn here and this other interesting shaped lawn on this side, which kind of gives you a really pleasing kind of balance to the design. The design's using the rule of thirds, so it's all very sort of aesthetically hangs together well. And this kind of, the height from the pergola is kind of balanced by height from trees here, 2 little silver birch, multi-stemmed silver birch, and the pleached trees. So it feels balanced. And this kind of chill out area at the back here is incorporating a little kind of seating area with your existing day bed as well. So people can be sort of cocooned in here, you can have the fire, barbecue going, and some sort of chill out area around here. It's all much more enclosed. I've got low box hedge in here and some planting area. So this is going to feel really private. You're not going to have any prying eyes. You've got sort of privacy from this pleached hedge. You've got the trees kind of strategically placed, and here and here, 2 little silver birch. So that's the 3rd and final option. So let me know your thoughts, A, B or C. The next stage, obviously I know I was jumping the gun a little bit, but I wanted to get in there with some first concepts because I'm a bit pushed for time with other work coming in, and I didn't want to lose your slot. So I thought I'd go ahead. I know I've still got your survey to come back, so I understand that some of this may need to be tweaked or changed. But these are just sketch drawings. The next step would be to incorporate your feedback comments, and we will take one of these designs through to go on to sort of CAD visuals and work it up properly to scale. I'll get all your measurements in, and then I can start working on CAD SketchUp and doing it properly. This was just a first stab with rough proportions, so that we can get the ideas down on the paper first. So I hope you like them, and look forward to hearing your feedback. Thanks, Melanie. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.